PS4 is pretty much sold out everywhere in Japan, but why am I buying another PS4 in 2018 anyway? We're going to be talking about all that and more, but first, coffee. Okay. Ouch. Now today's coffee, for a slight change, is one of these ready-made coffee in the bag. You kind of sit it on your cup. Actually, the real reason is just that the coffee place that I usually go to is closed today. Some sort of small river premium blend. I usually don't drink a lot of coffee out of these little ready-made packets, but they're actually not too bad, and I've never had this one before. So usually they come in little packets like these, rip them apart, and then you get these little bags like this. I don't actually know how common this is out west. I have seen it a few times, but it's not that common. It's actually quite common in Japan to find these sorts of things. They've got these little things on the side that you just pull off. So you just put it in like so, and it'll just hang on the cup like this, and obviously I have to rip the top open, pull this like so. It really does feel a little bit like you're making normal coffee, but it's actually really not gonna taste that much different. Or maybe it is, who knows? We shall see whether it tastes any good. But today's topic is actually about this, the upside down PS4 Slim version. And this is in fact the third PS4 that I'm buying. I have one here in Japan, I have one out in the UK, and because I move about, I actually thought I'd quite like to have one of these slim PS4s that I can just drop in a bag, bring to the studio, play some PlayStation games, do some gameplay videos, even if I'm collaborating with other people. I thought it'd be really good to have one of these. Plus, it comes with one of these new controllers. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the controller actually changed when they made the PS4. They actually have a slight change to the color, a slight change to the feel of the buttons, a slight change to the way that this light works. But why is it out of stock in Japan? And you will probably be very unsurprised to hear that this console, the PS4, which as far as I'm aware has never been out of stock in Japan ever. Like, it came out 3 months later than it did out in the West anyway, and when it finally came out, people were not queuing up. I remember, I don't know if maybe I can find an old tweet, I'll put that up so that you can see, but really on launch day, no one was really queuing up for PS4. Weeks after that, people were still like, the only reason, they were doing interviews, they were like, the only reason we really want a PS4 in Japan, sorry, people were saying, well, there's only one game that we really want to play on the PS4 anyway, and it's Final Fantasy 15. And even when Final Fantasy 15, I'm pretty sure PlayStation was not sold out. But finally, Capcom created a game which involves running around and harvesting living creatures to create armor. And how you feel about that ethically is another question, another discussion entirely. But this is the PlayStation 4 Slim. This came out years ago, and I finally have a couple of them now. But they are actually, look how small this is. This is my hand. This is a PS4, and you've seen what can be played on this sort of thing. I always hated the plastic cover on the original PS4 because they were like selling special edition PS4s when really all you need to do is just buy that plastic cover, stick it to your PS4, and you've got a special limited edition. Oh, by the way, this is my current setup. I've got my monitor here, I've got my laptop here which runs Steam and games, and then I've got my MacBook which I do most of my editing on because I'm a Final Cut Pro editor, so I leave that over there. And mostly the reason it's on this tall desk is because I quite like to stand to do my editing, because I'm usually doing it for something like 7 to 8 hours a day, so I prefer to be standing. This is actually not the exciting part of this console. On the new version, it doesn't only have this light here at the front, it also has a slight light at the top. Oh, the water's done, hold on. So here's what happened. I came back to Japan and I realized that I want to be able to play my PS4, play Street Fighter, even when I'm not at my apartment. When I go to the studio, I don't want to have to unplug my current PlayStation 4 so that I can go and play games for gameplay videos and all that. I wanted to just have a separate unit that I could have for on the go, and that's why having the PS4 Slim is actually really, really nice. I actually have a console, like a full-blown console, which is light enough to throw in a bag, just put the power cable in. What's really great is that you just have this single AC power cable. You don't need like a special power brick to go with it. which is the secret bulk. You know, when you have a gaming laptop, even if they make them nice and slim, if the power brick itself is huge, then it really ruins the whole fact that it's a portable gaming machine, because you also have to bring around this brick. So that's always been something I've hated about machines that need a very heavy power brick. But the PlayStation 4 I love just because of this AC adapter plug. But I was really surprised when I went looking on Amazon, on Yodobashi, on Softmap, all the regular places you would look to buy a brand new console, or places I would go to find a brand new console, and I couldn't find any in stock. Everything was out of stock for the 500 gig model, for the 1 terabyte model, for the PlayStation 4 Pro model. There were just no PlayStation 4s anywhere. And I was like, what could possibly be happening? And then it occurred to me that Monster Hunter World was released at, the end of January. It's now sort of mid-March now. And consoles are still out of stock. I think there was a rumor out there that stock for the first quarter of the year has probably been sold out, and it probably won't be in stock until they finally get their shipments in for what they were expecting to be, the second shipment or third shipment of the year for PlayStation 4. So I was really worried. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to use the PlayStation 4 Slim in the way that I was expecting. But isn't that great? And what a turn for the country, Japan, which really turned its back on PlayStation, really moved towards over mobile. After 2017, we saw games like Nier coming out, we saw Persona 5 coming out, we saw the resurgence of a lot of fighting games, even though maybe they weren't new releases, but Tekken 7 was finally released on console. A lot of people, I think, were discovering how convenient it is to have a home console. And that's not to say that home consoles are, the preferred place to play games on TV, when in fact I do play a lot of the games I just mentioned on PC, but the PlayStation still has those exclusives. They still have the console, which makes it so easy and simple to just switch it on and play. And that is something that I'm really glad to see coming back. And I think it's not only PlayStation and the games on PlayStation and Monster Hunter World coming out, but especially the success of the cheap Nintendo consoles that came out at Christmas, the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic, but also things like the Switch, massively, I believe, have been a massive part of bringing Japan back to console. And I don't think that we should go back to console just because I'm nostalgic for it. I think there really are a lot of benefits to having a dedicated machine hooked up to your TV that you can just turn on, play some great games, then switch back off. And as much as I'm a massive supporter of the PC Steam movement, there are so many complications even in the process of making this video. My computer, I got a blue screen of death just trying to switch the audio device on my Audacity recording the audio. So I'm really glad for Japan coming back to consoles. Alright, I need to dump this out in the sink. 1 second. I am very curious to see how this tastes, because it can be quite tiring to grind coffee every time I want to make it. So to be able to have what looks like fresh coffee from a brand that I've not tried before, if it's as impressive as it looks, this could be a massive time saver. Let's see. That is actually not that bad. Hang on a second. I always have to have 2 sips. The first sip I don't really know because it's a bit too hot still. Hold on a second. That tastes like a pour over coffee. It doesn't have a lot of the airiness. I don't know if that's a term, but it doesn't feel like it's got as much air in it, oxygen or something. I really don't know what to call it. It does taste like I feel like the beans are still in the cup. I feel like I poured the beans in and they're in the cup somewhere. Obviously they're not. It's clearly not the same as grinding your own, freshly, getting it roasted freshly for you. It tastes completely different, but I would choose this over an instant coffee any day. This is not instant coffee. This tastes very, very different to the soluble instant coffee. So I wonder what stage we're actually at with consoles in Japan, with gaming in Japan in general, because having lived here for the past number of years and seeing how games were really exciting, even during the PS3 era, it was such a shame to see the PS4 come out 3 months later in Japan. So the home of PlayStation. It was coming out 3 months later here than it came out in the West, and that was because they were getting so many developers on board, aiming all these games towards the Western audience. Some really powerful, awesome titles coming out, and then to see Japan really just falter and just go, we really don't know what we want the PS4 for. And then finally, games like Nier, Persona 5, I talk about this a lot, but fighting games having a bit of a resurgence. 2017 saw the release of the Switch, and I have been playing fewer and fewer mobile games, and I really am happy about that, because I have not really enjoyed, apart from Gothic, which is the shooting game that I showed on a previous video, there are not a lot of games that I actually enjoy playing on my phone. Again, except for Tsum Tsum by Disney. Now, I'm not going to show it because they'll probably want money from the video just for showing a screenshot of it, so you won't see it, but I will talk about it. The Disney Tsum Tsum game is amazing. I love everything about it, and I've never had to spend a penny on it, and I happily go to the Disney shops, and I will buy Tsum Tsum toys. So clearly they are making money out of me still, but they don't force you to pay money in the game just to enjoy the game. I enjoy the game mechanic. It's so solid. Coming back to Steam has helped me really enjoy coming back to PlayStation. This console is I love that it's slim, it's convenient, I can bring it places. If I have a friend who doesn't have a PlayStation, having the Slim, because I tried this out in the UK, having the Slim meant you could just throw it in a bag with a couple controllers, and all you need is the AC power cable. You don't need a power brick. And hopefully Japan, this year, 2018, is rediscovering the amazing power of console. This is not anything against PC, but every time I want to get something done and to not have anything go wrong, I have to step away from my computer. Now that could just be that I have it not set up correctly, but I have been using computers for decades. I have always had problems, and with console, I have almost never had a problem. They almost never had a situation where my console crashed as a result of, you pulled the headphone jack and then recording stopped or something. That only ever happens on my PC. And I think Japan is hopefully, with Monster Hunter World, getting back into the joy of console gaming. And I don't think it is just PlayStation. I really do think it has a lot to do with my Switches over there, but I think it has a lot to do with the Switch coming back, with NES Classic, with Super Nintendo Classic, even the PS4 Pro being sold out. It's a really healthy environment right now. But it's interesting how I think PlayStation 4 has been out for 6 or 7 years now. Not once did we actually see it sell out. And then suddenly, 2018, this console is way past old. Usually consoles end after 5 or 6 years, and I know with PS4 they wanted to extend that in the way PS4 Pro has really extended the PS4. It wasn't just a PS5 in disguise, it really has just extended the life of PS4, because games that are running on Pro are also running on PS4. Maybe they're running at a higher frame rate, or maybe they're running at a higher resolution on PS4 Pro, but as a result, we just get more games for a console that we already own. I do not own a PS4 Pro. I don't really see much need for it. I personally don't see much need for it, but I can see where other people might enjoy having it. Just funny how it's taken 6 or 7 years for Japan to get through their mobile phase and finally come back to console, and I think they're going to start seeing that putting all this effort into planning huge titles, these huge Japanese titles, and then pricing them at about 6,000 to 7,000 yen, which is $50 to $60. There is probably, that worked for decades, and I would like to see them go back to it, because that's where a lot of the games that I loved the most came from, was these big titles that they spent a long time putting together, and then charging us a lot of money for it. And I'm fine with it. For the past couple of years, I've been playing so many mobile games that I can see that there was really, for me, no future in it. So very keen to see, and very keen to hear what you think about mobile versus console space. How do you think How do you think? What do you think about how Japan is kind of coming back around to the console? I don't know if this is really the first time ever, but in my memory, this is the first time PlayStation 4 has ever sold out in Japan, and it's because of Monster Hunter World. You know, Capcom is massively on a roll. They've got 30th anniversary version of Street Fighter coming out, which, by the way, I have heard will probably have a training mode in it. So even though I was told and heard on the grapevine online that there was going to be no training mode, it looks like Capcom has spoken to people in the know and said there will be a training mode. So if that's true, and I'll believe it when I see it, I apologize, but not until the moment that it turns out to be true. I want to see training mode in the flesh, but Capcom is making all these great decisions. Japan is really, really coming back, I think, to the console space and recognizing how powerful it was and is, and I recognize it too. Do you? Is the question. Anyway, that's pretty much all for today. I'm actually quite enjoying this coffee. It's kind of funny because I put so much effort into grinding fresh coffee beans. I hope you've enjoyed this NihongoGamer video. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, like the video if you could possibly, that would be really nice. And if you're interested in hearing more about the life of console gaming in Japan, I will be keen to hear it as well. I'll probably talk to people who own consoles. I know a lot of people who didn't own PS4s who in Japan, you know, Japanese people who went out and bought a PlayStation 4 just because Monster Hunter had finally arrived. So this is, I really think Capcom has really done it right this year. And obviously it's taken years and years, you know, it was 2017, 2016, 2015 that they were developing this stuff. But 2018 is a powerful year for Capcom, a powerful year for Japanese gaming, and if you want to buy a PS4 now, you probably can't. So please wait another month or so for Sony to actually restock these things. I said to the guy in the shop, why is PS4 sold out? And he said, Monster Hunter. And I thought, yeah, thought so. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.